This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Folks, here we are, 2023, September the 14th. Special happy birthday to my nephew, Ruben, who is, gee, how old would he be? He was born in 89, so he'd be what? Do the math, Josh. I knew I called you on here for something today. How old's my nephew, Josh? What? You don't even know.
I can't do math that quick.
No?
Oh, sir.
I think he'd be 34, I think. Yeah, 34. Holy shit, how'd he get to be 34?
I get to be 41.
I'm 51.
You really?
Yes, I'm old. I went for, I just discovered through a dentist appointment yesterday, I'm going to have a root canal. And I had a rupture operation back in 2000, but I can feel the other side starting to go on me. So I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm shutting down. I'm 51. I'm like, I'm old. As Rodney Dangerfield said, you know, I walked by a cemetery the other night and two guys ran after me with shovels.
Jeez.
But anyway,
I walked my dog through a cemetery, and I was thinking they should have a book of the most beautiful cemeteries in the province that people can go. I find them very peaceful, just to stroll around.
Hey, they got one in Toronto.
Do they? A nice one?
Yes, mausoleums and everything in there. It's a really nice walkthrough, I'll tell you that. Yeah. But folks, for you listening, the guy who can't do math, that
You're looking at calculator. That's why they invented calculators, so we don't have to think on the spot.
Folks, I got one of our, and I mean this, one of our best actors here in the Maritimes here. I've seen this guy's work, and I've known him for a very, very long time through the New Brunswick Film Co-op. And I give you Mr. Josh Linton. How do you do, Josh?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You know. It's been a while. I know we've been connected on Facebook, but it's been a while since we've talked. But I find one of the things I found out since doing this podcast, nobody knows where the hell New Brunswick is, you know? Like even on Zoom, you know, you can time something for East Coast, but you can't do it for Atlantic Canada.
Right.
You know, nobody knows where we are, you know? And I've often joked when they said in wrestling that the Ultimate Warrior is from parts unknown, I'm like, he must be from New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Because we technically are parts unknown.
Let's say that's accurate.
Yeah. There's a story for a movie right there.
Parts unknown?
No. Anybody knows where we are.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. So it's always fun. Like I've had some bigger names on here, but it's always fun to get some New Brunswick talent on here so I could say, hey, there's some life here.
A little bit, yeah. I think we have a nice little community here, to be honest. It was really cool, and I kind of fell into the film community in 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was kind of like coming home, you know. I just kind of fell into it. My buddy Chaffick, you remember Chaffick?
I do remember Chaffick.
He got into the film scene, and then I thought, geez, I've always wanted to do that. And I kind of said, well, I'll tag along with you some night. And we ended up, I don't know if he made it that night, but I ended up going to Joel Thompson's They Didn't Make It set at his parents' place. And we were working away on it. And I just threw it out there. I'd like to try acting. And so they just threw me into a role. And from there, I just started doing everything I could. Yeah.
Well, how's Chaffick doing nowadays?
Oh man, I haven't hung out with him in years. Yeah, but anytime I see him, it's always a good time.
Oh, he's gonna love hearing this. Oh,
Yeah.
he brought me up. He does. Oh, he hasn't hung out with me in years. Thanks, Josh.
Well, it's just the way things go, man.
Actually, you know what? Colin is my best friend, Colin Smart, and he's the one that got me hooked up with or directed me towards CHSR, which I'm still part of, but I barely see Colin anymore because I'm just working so much. But luckily, Colin's got one of these folks that has this, like, he's not offended by it. When I talk to him, it's like we just like where we just left off. Colin's been Colin's great that way. You
Yeah.
know, but you mentioned they didn't make it. I don't have such good memories of that film.
Oh, really? We
Nope.
won't do that.
Oh, I'm gonna go into it because I I did two scenes in the movie,
Yeah.
and I had him at the time when I was interviewing people at CHSR. This was before it was a podcast. Um, I had Joel on the show, and right up to that last week before the Silverwave Film Festival, I find out my scenes was cut.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I was quite pissed.
Yeah.
So far as I'm concerned, I got nothing to say about that film.
Fair enough.
Um, I'm not going to trash him as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I think he ripped off Halloween an awful lot in it. I'll say that. But then again, look, most filmmakers
Oh,
draw from
everyone's
other people.
all drawn from something. We're inspired by things.
Well, I think one reference, like this scene where the point of view through the ghost eye holes, where you with the rose and whatnot, and he's bleeding on the hand and whatnot. That would have been all the reference to Halloween that he needed.
Yeah.
But I think he went way too much on the references for it. But I get it. He had some good people in the film, but I wasn't too happy because it just, from my vantage point, he'll tell you different, but from my vantage point, it just felt like, I did all this promotion of the film right up to the point
Right.
to find out after my last live being on the air to promote it. Then I find out just before the festival that my scenes was cut, and it's like, really?
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
tough thing.
well, it's almost like, if he had told me beforehand, then there'd be no more promotion from my part,
Right. Yeah.
which could be true.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy about it, and so I haven't watched the film since then. I
Yeah.
went there that night because I was with somebody when I went, but otherwise, if I hadn't have been with somebody uh, at that film, I wouldn't have even gone to see it. So, but I know you've worked with Gia Milani. I've had her on here.
Yeah, that was great. So it basically started out with Joel, and then I kind of did a few others with Colin, like the
Hmm.
Temple of the Sapphire Moon. That was a
Holy
big
shit! I forgot about that.
dude. It's living up to being my idol as a kid, which was Indiana Jones. I watched that so many times on an old VHS that Dad recorded off the television. It was grainy, it was horrible quality, but I just played that over and over. And then to actually be a character that had similar vibes, I was loving that role.
It's funny you mentioned. I've seen all of them on the big screen. In fact, Raiders of the Lost Ark, we saw at the drive-in back when I was a kid because that came out when I was 9 years old. But Raiders of the Lost Ark was my favorite Indiana Jones film, still is to this day. But what it
Yeah,
got me with Colin, well, I remember, who's the girl that he had tied to the tree in that movie? I forget her name.
remember there, it wasn't Lindsay.
Yeah, it was Lindsay. I remember Amy Ganong was in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Amy was beautiful. Yeah, Lindsay. I mean, I just thought it was funny, but
I got a good story about that one, and they tell me to let it go, but it's a hard thing to let go. We were doing rehearsals, and Bun to be new
hmm
She kicks the character in the crotch, and man, did I take one for the team. And I dropped because she actually made contact, and they all gave me a hard time because I wasn't wearing the cup that they supplied. And but you know,
Yeah, that's on you, man.
on me. I get it.
I'm not giving you no sympathy. I feel like kicking you in the balls right now.
What's funny? I get injured a lot on film sets, and one time I got smoked in the face by a taser on Danny Thibault's Al River Runners, and the sound guy was like, "You know what, Josh?" He's holding the boom and stuff. He's like, "The people that get injured on set usually are the ones that are really giving it their all," and it made me feel a little better as blood's trickling down my face. Yeah.
Well, I liked your work in a variety of things, and because I know that you did Dark Radius,
It was a
Yep.
that character was dark. Uh, I didn't like playing that character, but I had fun with it as much as I could. I kind of improvised a few lines with that one.
I had
That
Bronwyn on here recently too, and it was just nice to reconnect with her after all this time because I still have her CD here somewhere, and I just got to thinking, I haven't had Josh on here, so but Bronwyn was great. I remember I had a huge crush on Jessica Holt. She doesn't like me much though, but of
she's
course
beautiful.
not. Nobody wants to know that I like them.
Oh, she's really
But
nice.
okay.
You never talked to her, what?
No, I've talked to her. I've talked to her. I'm just joking.
Okay.
I had a crush on her. She knew it, and of course, any girl that knows I like them automatically don't like me because, well, I don't look like Tom Cruise. But Skittles loves me though,
Hey,
as long as I've got treats. Maybe if I had treats, Jessica would have loved me.
she might have.
Because
Hard to say.
I shake the treat bag and Skittles comes right over.
Yeah,
Somehow, though, I doubt that works on women,
I don't think so, unless it's a
especially
bad.
if it's cat treat. I'll let you test it. Maybe you might get kicked in the balls again.
I think I probably would by my wife.
Actually, what's funny? I know Jessica went into props and stuff, but I'm surprised she never went full on acting. Because I mean, she definitely had the look, she's gorgeous, and especially she was able to play a tough girl really well. So I
Yeah,
don't
she did.
know. So I haven't seen her in years, and I can't
Neck
blame
actually.
her. Huh?
She broke my neck in that film. She just came up behind. That was a great scene. The lighting was just beautiful, and I had no idea. I'm walking around the basement or wherever, and she comes up and just cracks my neck. I drop to the floor.
You know why?
Why?
You know why? Because you were already kicked in the balls and you already had the hit over there. She had to find you see, you're gonna be the Mick Foley of acting. You ever read the Mick Foley book? The wrestler, and he's got this full body picture of him on the back, and there's all these lines of directed to where all the injuries are in his body, so that the body's just covered with lines.
That'd
That
be awesome.
you see, that's you. You're the Mick Foley of acting,
I'll take Brunswick. Yeah.
There you go. No, but nonetheless, I think Jessica would have been terrific as an actress, but I can't fault her on not dealing with my foolishness. I don't wouldn't wish me any woman, but but nonetheless, she was leading that, and then of course you did Blue Seduction.
Oh yes, that was my biggest. That was like 2007, I think. And I, what was great about that is you'll like this story. I went to audition somewhere on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
Show up. you always have that little bit of anxiety before you audition for something. And I came in, and I don't know whose house it was, but there was an old lady there, and there was a cat, and I just focused all my attention on the cat, and it was just me and the cat, and I just calmed right down, and I relaxed, and I just didn't put any pressure on myself. And they called me back to play the part of Officer Eddie in that. And then I came to set. I had my own trailer, which blew my mind. It had like Mr. Linton on the door, and I was like, "What is happening? This is unbelievable." And I sat in there for most of the day, and then I had my quick little scenes, and I got to act with some excellent actors on that one. Billy Zane, he was fantastic. Estella Warren, I remember doing a scene with her, and of course I mess up my lines, and I'm like, line, and the person tells me my line, and then I try again, and she was great. She just said, "No, you're doing good. You're a great actor. Like, just don't worry about stuff like that. It happens." So that was a nice little moment.
She didn't kick you in the balls?
She didn't. She tried probably, but no, it was all good. Yeah. Oh, there's another. Billy Zane. I pull up to arrest Billy Zane, and I was trying not to mess up the scene. I kept trying to get the mark with the cruiser. I get out, and I'm always trying to protect his head when I put him in the car, right? Because I don't want him cracked. But I think on purpose, he actually made himself hit his head on the cruiser door.
Oh, really?
He hit his head, and it was a nice little moment, nice little improvisation. Yeah.
I think the first time I remember seeing Billy Zane, I think was in The Phantom, where he played.
Same.
Yeah,
That would have been.
yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that movie, but I do remember him playing the Phantom. It's the first time I've seen Catherine Zeta-Jones as well, you know. But yeah, but and then he went on, of course, did Titanic, which I think his role in that was embarrassing. But then again, I think that movie is highly overrated anyway.
My
Yeah,
favorite.
I would have given the Oscar to LA Confidential personally, but
My favorite part was in Zoolander when they're like, "Shut it, Zane." I love that. That was so good.
well, apparently he's doing some of the cons now, you know. I've heard stories like I don't know whether it was Sean Clark that was telling me about him doing the cons, and because a lot of people, especially some of the bigger names in the industry, they don't understand how the conventions work.
Right.
And a lot of people now, they live off the conventions because they make a lot of money on them.
Right.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, Robert Englund could show up there and just by playing Freddy Krueger, like
Really,
he
just
walks
coast through.
away with a lot of cash after a weekend, you know. But nonetheless, uh was Zoolander your favorite Billy Zane performance?
Oh no, I just like that moment that he had in that. I don't know what my favorite performance of his is, to be honest. Yours?
I don't know. I'm lost on that.
We gotta get on IMDb. But man,
Well,
what a
I was not a fan of Titanic, you know. I think it was a well-made movie, but
yeah.
nobody could have done anything with that role he had in it, you know. But it was just Romeo and Juliet on a boat.
I did a great job being unlikable in that film. Uh, he did the part.
Oh, I'm just glad that I saw that and Tomorrow Never Dies the same day because when I saw Titanic, I was trying to stay awake. When I
Yeah,
went to Tomorrow Never Dies afterwards, a James Bond movie, I woke
yeah,
up pretty quick, you know. I was like, good, I'm seeing something entertaining.
yeah.
But well, Estella Warren, the first time I recall seeing her was in Driven.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's always interesting when you get some talent. Like I've had Jackie Giroux on here a couple times, and the first time I ever heard of her is when she did Plaster Rock up here.
Yeah.
What I find funny is I bought this movie on Blu-ray that I found at Sunrise Records. I never heard of the movie, but the cover kind of grabbed me and it kind of reminded me of some of the old horror movies. And it was a film from the mid 70s called Drive-In Massacre.
Okay.
And she appears in it. And I was like, is this the same Jackie Giroux? It turns out it was. She was in Trick or Treats and stuff like that. And I had her on here, and I had her on here. I had her on here twice, and she, strangely enough, she remembered me because I met her at Silverwave, and I didn't know the extent of her filmography whenever she did Plaster Rock. But what's funny is that it's always interesting when you get people from like Paul Lynch was the guy who directed Prom Night,
Yeah.
original Prom Night. He did a film, I think it was in 2000 here with Bo Derek. I think it was called Frozen Assets. And it's always like, gee, some of these people are finding the parts unknown province.
Yeah.
So it's always funny, like with American Sunset, Corey Haim being here, and with Blue Seduction, you got Billy Zane and Estella Warren here. It's an odd feeling seeing some of these people in New Brunswick, you
Yeah.
know, because like anybody I've interviewed from Australia or Europe, they don't know where the hell we are. Most people in North America don't know where we are. I think there's people that live here that don't even know where.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So, from your recollection with Billy Zane and Estella Warren, now I don't know how you can answer this, but you go having them do a movie here, like I was going to ask what you recall their experience like was working here, but I think what I'm really trying to grasp is had they heard of New Brunswick before, or have they had like any like I said, I see these people that are out of, California or New York, and then they're coming here. What was it like of them working here?
Well, from what I recall, Billy Zane was really excited to be here and working on stuff. Like he had a great attitude.
Hmm.
Would be doing makeup together, and yeah, he was just very. He's just a filmmaker, right? Like that's my memory of him. Uh, Man, if I could recall, he had a scene and it was raining, and I ended up holding the umbrella for him, and he was just like, "Isn't this the best? Like just making film?" I'm like, yeah, he had the best attitude, I thought. And I remember it was during Silverwave around the same time that we were filming that, and I don't recall what film it was, but I think we won an award for it. And I came back to set and I told people like I had success at the film festival. And yeah, he came over and like congratulated me and said, just keep on doing what you love. And, no, it was a nice moment. Yeah.
Was he at Silverwave?
I don't know if he made it. I think they were still on set filming stuff, but they might have come to the after parties or something.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. What about Estella Warren? Any memories of her with in relation to New Brunswick?
I didn't. We basically filmed our scenes, and that was about all we had for interaction. I didn't really talk to her afterwards or anything. Yeah.
Okay.
No, she seemed to enjoy herself, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot of encounters with her besides filming that scene and her encouragement. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you've done a lot of short films,
Oh yeah.
and I know Colin when he goes to Silverwave, he loves doing the short film night, you know.
Oh,
Uh,
that's tradition, man.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been to Silverwave in years. It's been years. I've had Cat LeBlanc on here, I've had G on here, I've had a few people. I haven't been. I remember the first year I went to Horrorama in Toronto was the same week that they were doing Silverwave here.
Yeah.
But no, it's been a while for Silverwave. But I have some great memories back in the day with that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was when the Tim Hortons up the hill was. Well, it's still open all night, but now you can't go inside all night, because that's where we'd always go and hang out there the yay hours, coffee
Yeah.
and whatnot, and
Yeah.
yakking about the festival. But what is your greatest memory of Silverwave?
I've got a few fond memories. I don't want to get into it too much, but I remember when I won the awards for acting. I forget 2007, I think. That was pretty special because it kind of made me realize this is something I want to do and something I was actually good at, and it just made me feel good that it seemed like everything was just aligning. Like when you start doing something that you're passionate about and what like resonates in your soul, things start to happen in a positive light in your life, right? And that was what happened that night, and it was pretty special. Yeah. So I would say that was pretty good, but just the friendships and everything over the years that I've developed. Chris Fulton and I developed a great friendship.
Hmm.
Uh, he cast me in a few things, but I also did set design for one of his Gamers Manifesto. That was a lot of fun, and I basically took Dennis Poirier's whole house and put it in my garage to make the set.
I remember Dennis.
And
I
it's
remember Dennis. Actually, I've had Pierre Ward on here as well. I
yeah,
haven't had Dennis on there, but I've had Pierre on here. I'm still in touch with Pierre.
Pierre's given me some great advice over the years. I remember coming down to the Crown Plaza after the award show, and yeah, he's a he's a smart guy, and he just kind of chatted with me briefly, and we talked, and yeah, he's good.
He and I have, well, he fared better than me, but
Yeah,
we both worked at the same place at different times, and
yeah,
the toxicity of that place, he warned me, and
yeah.
boy, did I find out. But I won't get into that in too much detail. But Pierre's always been great, and oh, what was I going to ask you? Oh yeah, you mentioned that you wanted to get into acting from when you were very young. Is there any actors out there that were an inspiration to you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question because I've been trying to think about that, and I actually had a conversation with my wife last week about movies that I grew up on. And so we already talked about Indiana Jones. That was one that I just had on repeat. But another one was Ghostbusters, and Bill Murray. I emulated that character from Ghostbusters. Like the scene where he is going into the old library and he gets slime on his fingers, and he's like, ugh, and then he gets it in his eye, and he's just like, I love that scene so much as a kid, and I would just try to personify him when I acted strange and abnormal with all my friends and stuff. His character in Ghostbusters was phenomenal. So that one, Indiana Jones.
You realize that role was originally Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters originally was supposed to be John Belushi.
Heard that? Yeah,
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 but Belushi had passed away.
yeah.
But and I could see Belushi doing it. Belushi is technically in the film.
Is he?
Yeah, because Slimer was created in honor of John Belushi from his
Okay.
scene in Animal House when he's going along. Yep,
I,
Slimer was kind of an homage to John Belushi in the spirit of John. So But I could see John Belushi playing Peter Venkman. I can see it, you know.
Totally.
But yep. But yeah, Bill Murray. Bill Murray. I know the scene you're talking about too.
That
If
just stuck.
you if you ever watch Ghostbusters again, which I
Yeah,
can't see why you wouldn't.
I'll do it
There,
after this.
well, there's something I want you to watch for.
All right.
Because I was listening to the Ivan Reitman commentary, and something comes up in it that wasn't supposed to happen, but he kept it in the film.
Yeah.
It was so friggin' funny. There's a scene, I'm trying to think of somewhere in the middle of the film where you know, you get the newscasters and stuff reporting on all this stuff, you know. And there's one scene, if you look in the background, there's like this hippie looking guy with a long beard and long hair in the background kind of checking them out.
Right.
Apparently that wasn't supposed to happen. That just happened to be a passerby that saw, and Ivan Reitman got such a kick out of it that he kept it in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when you see you'll see the guy, you'll recognize him because he's got a big beard, like a hippie looking guy, but that was not an extra.
That's hilarious.
I I remember that ever since it was mentioned, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, that guy just looked kind of funny. And like I just kept it in.
Yeah.
But it didn't hurt the film any, and now the guy's immobilized in film history just for being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those moments in cinema.
Were you going to mention other people? You said Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, uh, Batman, the first Batman with Michael Keaton,
Hmm.
Jack. His Joker, I think, is brilliant. I actually made my 10-year-old nephew watch that Batman with me. I was like, you got to watch this one before you watch the other ones, because this is the one that it
I
speaks.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah.
No, and he really enjoyed the Joker. That Joker's pretty dark, but he liked it. Yeah, which made me feel good because to hear him say that was a good film. He thought his one comment was the bat suit was a bit tacky, which I took offense to.
You want me to tell you what you do is you got to remind people when things were made.
Yeah,
You know, they didn't have CGI and all that stuff back then. And quite frankly, and I've said this, I've made this argument. I love the original 1981 Clash of the Titans.
yeah,
One of my favorite movies. It was the last stop motion animated film that Ray Harryhausen had done. I thought the remake of it, the 2010 remake, was a piece of garbage.
yeah. I didn't see it. I do
You
remember that
didn't
childhood though, and
the
being
original?
best.
Yep, yeah. So it's about the same as watching old Star Trek and comparing
Yeah,
it to the new Star Trek. You can't disqualify something based when it was made,
right.
you know? Because I'm going to tell you, you go back and you look at some of the old silent films, there's stuff Buster Keaton did in Sherlock Jr. I don't know
Yeah,
how he pulled it off. And that
right.
was 1924, you
Oh,
know?
some of the things they pulled off.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the thing, my biggest pet peeves when it comes to talking about movies is people that they'll watch a remake, but they won't watch the original because it's old. And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah,
you know, yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Go away. I don't want to talk to you about film.
you're not worth my time.
Yeah, I have no time for that. Like anybody that watches that garbage Psycho remake but won't watch the original, go away, please. Go away. Educate yourself before you talk to me again.
Totally.
Yeah. Now that's not to say there aren't good remakes. The 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers was certainly a great remake. I actually prefer Eddie Murphy's The Nutty Professor over the Jerry Lewis version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, for various reasons. The Birdcage was a really good shot for shot remake of the French film it was based on.
Yeah.
He did a good job, and it's not any better or any worse than the French film, but they did a great job. And I really like both versions of the girl with the dragon tattoo, you know?
Yeah, that's good. I watched the original first,
Hmm.
and then the second one held up. Yeah,
Yeah, well, David Fincher. I don't know why they didn't do the others,
yeah. Hard
but
to say.
I wouldn't have done the others without Rooney Mara or without David
Naomi.
Fincher's director, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah, but so there are some remakes that, yeah, they hold up.
yeah.
Yep. So you
Another.
showed, huh?
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say you showed your son uh Michael Keaton as Batman. Did you show him Michael Keaton as Birdman?
I didn't know, but I should.
I love Birdman, and I'm a huge Emma Stone fan too. Like she's my big crush right now.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Sorry, Jessica Holt, but I like Emma Stone now. She's married, so she wants nothing to do with me.
Yeah. No, I'd like to introduce my nephew to a few more things. He's gotten into theater too, and I don't know if I've encouraged him just with my own acting. He realizes, oh, that's something. Because when I was in high school, the drama and the theater was not something that I got into because I didn't do a whole lot in high school regarding like extramural stuff.
Hmm.
I really could have though, because I would have really enjoyed it. But you had this stereotype of, oh no, I'm not going to do that. That's not cool or whatever. So you limit yourself because you're an idiot when you're that age. But yeah, I got into it at the right time. I remember a friend of mine, his mom. Well, he and I actually made this little video. I had a little camera at the time, and we made this little horror film. And she commented when I showed her our film uh, that I missed my calling as an actor, and that really like upset me, like as because I knew deep down like I should be doing this for real, like I should be an actor, and I it is a passion of mine. And so as soon as she said that, I was motivated to kind of find the film scene in Fredericton and get into it. And then once I did, I I kind of saturated the market with my face a little bit. I was in everything I could possibly get my hands on, or whoever wanted to have me in their film. And and then I think I kind of got to a point where I thought, okay, I need to step back a little bit. And I think that was, I don't know what that was, but I don't think it was smart. I should have just kept going with it. But sometimes you just get in your head and you're thinking, maybe I'm doing it too much and people are getting tired of your face, and you know, you talk down.
No, we
Oh,
don't get
yeah.
tired of you.
Well, you overthink stuff. As an actor,
Yep.
you're over criticizing, and yeah, you just gotta love yourself a bit more.
So are you still acting? Like what have you been doing as of late?
I haven't done a whole lot, to be honest. I work with Travis Grant quite a bit. When he has a project in the works, we uh, we worked together a few years back during COVID, I think it was. I'm really happy with that. This one, it was called The Stare Down, and I was acting with Ryan Barton, and it turned out really good, and it's hilarious. And I'd recommend everyone check it out. I think it's on YouTube. Super happy with how that turned out, and I got to work on a western, which is another thing I grew up on. Uh, Dad and we would always watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Uh,
I think the greatest Western I think for me was The Wild Bunch.
yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Oh wow, that was violent,
Really?
and that was part of the point.
Yeah,
It was about uh it was about violence. It wasn't just violence, it was about violence.
I'll
Yeah,
check that. Is that
yeah.
Clint? Is he in that one?
Nope, that was William Hurt.
William Hurt. Okay.
Not William. Yeah, William Hurt. Let me see. It was a Sam Peckinpah movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was quite controversial for its I'm gonna look at. I think that's William Hurt. William, the Wild Bunch. Yep. No, it's not William Hurt. William Holden. That was.
Mhm.
Yeah, William Holden. Boy, did I ever screw that up. I'm glad I looked that up too, because like I get some of these actors run together, but yeah, William Holden, Ernest Borgnine,
Yeah,
Robert Ryan, Warren Oates was in it, Ben Johnson,
nice.
yep, Strother Martin. You like this was but that was part of the point. It wasn't violence for the sake of violence.
Yeah,
The message of the movie was violence.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
year was it? I'll check that out.
1969. Same year Easy Rider came out, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That's another Western that came out that
Oh,
year.
that film.
Yeah. But the Wild Bunch, if you haven't seen that, that was a great Western. Another one that I really liked too. Now, I'm going to look it up here because if I don't, I'm going to botch the title, but
You ever watched They Call Me Trinity?
no, I haven't.
You're gonna check that one out. That's a good
Well,
one.
the one I'm looking at here, let me see. Because if I don't look this up correctly, I'm going to screw it up. What am I? It had Henry Fonda in it, and I'm actually looking him up here now because I'm trying to figure out what.
Uh, the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the one I'm trying to think of. But I'm trying to think what was the name of the movie.
Not Once Upon a Time in America. That one.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. It had Charles Bronson in it. But what you
That's
remember
the
the
one.
most was Henry Fonda
Yeah,
playing the villain because you're not used to seeing him play the villain. And boy, was he ever
right.
friggin' great in it.
It was fantastic. I remember the first time I started watching that. This is what, like, before I was getting into the film community.
Hmm.
Intro bored me, and I was like, nah, I don't want to watch it. And then later on, I watched it, and I was like, what was I thinking? You know, when you're not ready for a film,
Hmm.
and like, yeah, I don't know why young Josh couldn't take the time to watch this masterpiece. And the same thing happened with Unforgiven. I was bored throughout that film as a young man, and I was just like, oh, this is boring, boring. And then the end just blew me away. I was just like, holy, like it's just a slow build, and then at the end, it all comes together. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Have you watched anything lately? Like, do you still go to the movies?
You know what? I'm a kind of a weird guy when it comes to. I love film, but I never go to the theater. I never go. It's a weird thing. I love film, but I'd rather just hang out in my basement and watch films. I don't.
I
I'm not.
still love going to the theater. In fact, when I was in Toronto, I fell in love with the theater scene there. You know, Lisa Langlois, a Canadian actress who was in the movie Class of 1984, invited me to my first. Actually, I'm assisting her at Frightmare in the Falls this fall, but she invited me to assist her at Horrorama in 2017. And when I went to Toronto, it was my first time out in New Brunswick. I went to Toronto, and they have some nice theaters there. And I mean, there was nothing like watching Pink Flamingos at the Royal Theater, you know, a beautiful looking theater playing the most shamelessly dirty movie, but nonetheless. But anyway, but I still go to the movies every week. I try to go every week,
Dude,
and I used to
one
for
thing
a
I
time.
want to see, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, what
I
was you
missed the
go?
boat. I want to watch that one with Cillian Murphy.
Oh, Oppenheimer?
Yeah, you know, Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looked like it would have been a good cinematic experience. Yeah,
Still there.
but is it? Is it still in the theater?
Yes, it's still in the theater. That and Barbie both. They both open the same time and they're both still
Yeah,
there. I've seen Barbie.
yeah,
I know you've seen Barbie. You've seen Barbie.
I haven't. I
Gosh,
Ryan
gosh,
Ryan
stop lying. You saw Barbie.
5 times already. God, I
I
can't
saw
help it.
Barbie looking with Margot Robbie. How am I not? How am I going to say no? She's gorgeous.
Yeah, take
I did see Barbie, but I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. It's still there. I probably should go see it.
You know what? I went to the theater when I was backpacking through Europe, kind of tracing my grandfather's steps when he was there in World War II. My cousin and I stopped at a theater in France, and they were screening Scarface, and that was amazing to watch
Which
that movie
one?
in the theater. The
Was it the
first one.
Paul
Oh,
Mooney?
yeah, no, it was the one with Al Pacino.
Well,
Yeah,
that's not the first one. The first one was the Paul Mooney one from that Howard Hawks directed in 1932.
not that one. What's that
That
one like?
one there, yeah, the one that Howard Hawks made
Yeah,
was controversial even for 1932 standards.
I should check that one out. I've
Yep.
heard about it.
Yeah, I saw that in my history of film class. I like the Al Pacino one because I like Brian De Palma, but I got to admit, for Brian De Palma, my favorite De Palma movie was always Dressed to Kill.
Yeah.
That's my favorite De Palma movie, but I do like Scarface.
What I
That's the
think is that scene in the washroom where they get the chainsaw.
hmm
You don't actually see him getting cut, but you fill in the blanks. It is unbelievable how graphic that scene is without being overly graphic. You know, like they did a good job.
I think everybody just remembers Al, Al Pacino plowing into mountains of
Yeah,
but but nonetheless, yeah. But I love going to the theater and uh speaking of cocaine, you didn't see Cocaine Bear?
I didn't see that. No. Was that good? Look ridiculous. Yeah,
Yep, it's good. It was directed by Elizabeth Banks. That made me want to see it even more.
didn't.
It was directed by a woman. I was like, wow. I wanted to see it. Number one, I love the premise of it, but when I found out she directed it, I was like, now I really got to see this.
Yeah,
Yep,
looked entertaining. I haven't seen it though.
yep, oh yeah. So yeah, I still like to go, even during COVID. I think I was back to the movie theaters in July of 2020. I never got the bug, so I worked through the entire thing, but I was pissed off I couldn't travel, but I
Yeah,
was still cleaning through the whole thing. And of course, people were talking about your doctors and nurses. It's like, screw off to the cleaning crew.
yeah, no, eh?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't count.
um,
We don't count. No, of course not. So, do you ever see anybody from the film co-op anymore?
well, here's the thing. This is what's preventing me from seeing anybody. Currently, I'm an on-site inspector on the Miramichi River Bridge, and that's a six day a week job, 10-hour days. So I don't hardly see my wife. So yeah, I don't see anybody anymore.
That's why you two are still married.
That's
You
right.
don't see each other.
Yeah,
You say inspector, you mean like Clouseau?
no, not that cool. No, I just walk around with a hard hat and tell people to wear their safety gear and all that stuff. Yeah,
You needed, you're one to talk. You didn't even wear a cup.
yeah, I know.
What are you telling people to wear a hard hat for? I'd be
I
more worried about you getting hurt.
I've matured. I've been good on this job site actually. I haven't got hurt yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah, it won't be your head.
No, definitely.
Well, Josh, do you have any acting projects coming up?
Not really, but I'm hoping Travis Grant had a big project. He did really well with the Kickstarter. He got in touch with the Critical Drinker, and he's
We
a
got a
writer.
lot of them in town.
Yeah, and they did a great project. And I'm hoping that this snowballs into other projects, and hopefully I can get in on some of those. Uh, I actually hope to get into some theater and stuff like that. I did some radio play for Ryan Griffith in town. That was really enjoyable. And yeah, Ilka Silk kind of reached out to me recently, and I'm gonna uh, audition this weekend actually for a radio play. So we'll see how that goes. That's for War of the Worlds, which oh, actually it's with CHSR. There's a collaboration there. So
I'm still with CHSR, and even if I do get moved to Toronto, I'm still going to keep my show for CHSR. I've been
nice.
there since 2005, so I'm kind of like, I got 18 years in. Let's keep it going.
Everything
But
going.
well, I can still do that even from Toronto. So, and I'm trying to see if I can make that leap.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who's never traveled until 2017. I fell in love with Toronto.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with it. So, and I've stayed in touch with Lisa, and she taught me a lot about increasing my brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was interesting because I was at Frightmare in the Falls last year, and somebody actually come up to me and they recognized me.
Nice. That's a good
It was
feeling.
Well, it was somebody who I actually set up with a couple of guests.
Yeah.
They asked me about so and so. I think it was Belinda Belansky from The Howling. They wanted to have on their show, and I connected them. And what was interesting, I remembered I did that. I remembered it, but I thought it was cool that he recognized me and he came up and he thanked me, and we chatted for a moment. First time that happened. Have you ever been to any of the conventions?
No,
No,
never.
they are fun. That was another thing bothered me here, like Silverwave didn't it went from it just seemed to me like it was getting smaller
Yeah.
as opposed to bigger. And I was a little turned off because I'm a co-producer on 13 Fanboy,
Yeah.
and that was had a number of the Friday the 13th alumni in it.
Right.
And that was about a serial killer going around trying to kill people that were in the movie.
Okay.
Well, my picture's in it covered in blood, and I'm on as a co-producer. I just gave the Friday the 13th franchise a New Brunswick connection.
Nice.
Silverwave ignored that, and it irked me.
Yeah.
It really irked me. But then again, hindsight's 2020. There's a lot of stuff about 13 Fanboy lately that's irked me, so now I
Yeah.
don't care. I have other issues with that movie right now, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, um, I kind of wanted to go where I could meet people that have been in stuff that I liked,
Yeah.
and this is why when you have Billy Zane and Estella Warren in a film you're in, it's cool to get people brought in here,
Exactly.
because I don't think New Brunswick does a very good job.
No.
Yeah.
I, and we got so much potential. That's the crazy part. Like we have so much potential with this province for
Mhm.
locations and everything else. Like St. John has such interesting character with the architecture and everything.
Yeah, but what bothers me is nobody knows where we are. So many people they think it only goes as far as East Coast, but I'm like, and then we're just like nobody. It actually bothers me. Nobody actually knows about New Brunswick. You don't see it referenced anywhere. I'm glad we got the trailer park boys. I'm glad we got them, but
And that's Nova Scotia, right? So
hmm
yeah, so yeah, it'd be nice to kind of figure out a way to get people talking about this province a little bit. I don't know if it has to do with the grants, like if we can get better grants for to lure filmmakers into this province and facilities, but something's gonna
I
happen.
I don't know. But nonetheless, I'm glad that I was able to have you on here tonight, and reconnect.
Yes,
I
sir.
I well, I always enjoyed your work and the stuff I have seen you in, and so I didn't know you got injured so many times.
Oh yeah, it's part of the process.
You should audition for Jackass.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
Yeah,
get
they,
into
they they might take you in.
they might. Yeah, get stunned.
But there you go. You have anything else you want to promote on here before we close off?
No, I don't think so. It's just living my best life, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have memories of first seeing yourself on the screen?
Uh I know this never goes away. Every time I go to Silverwave and my film is or the film that I worked on is gonna be screened, I get so nervous. Like my heart's racing, sweaty palms, just like because you don't know how the audience is gonna react. And as an actor, you're sensitive to that, right? You just hope that they appreciate what you've done. So yeah, it's always nerve wracking, but it hasn't changed from like the day one, seeing Temple of the Sapphire Moon all the way up to recent stuff. The anxiety, it's always there. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Josh, it was wonderful having you come on the show tonight, and I'm gonna let you go so you can spend some time and remind your wife that she's married to you. Is she an actress too?
no, but she's a artist and she works with Arts NB. So
Oh,
yeah,
there you go. There you go. Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
yeah, certainly. What do you want me to say?
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hey, this is Josh Linton. I'm here with Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Folks, Josh is one of our best actors, and I'm not just saying that. He's always great in everything he does. Now we just need to spread the word that we got a province here that nobody knows about.
That's right.
And we're relying on Josh. We want to be New Brunswick, home of Josh.
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure's on you now.
That's right. Hey, I'll take on that challenge.
If the Trailer Park Boys have Nova Scotia, you got to own New Brunswick.
There we go. I like the sounds of that.
There you go. There you go. Well, you take care. You have yourself a good day. Be careful on the job site and keep doing some acting.
I'm gonna try. Stay into it.
Get in touch with Gia. Get her to cast you.
I should actually. I haven't talked to her in a long time, so it'd be good to reach out.
I loved all the wrong reasons.
Yes, and she lost her marbles. That was a
Did
fun.
she really? Did she really lose all of her marbles? I knew there was something up with her.
Oh man, there's a funny story about that. It was my birthday, and we were filming the next day. I drank too much the night before. I was hungover the entire time we were filming those scenes. I was basically wearing short shorts running through Fredericton, and it was a tough. I don't know how impressed she was to see me show up hungover, but we got through it, and it came out really well.
I knew her parents and when because I taught at FHS. Yep. So I knew her parents, especially her mom, because her
Okay.
mom had the coolest hair.
Yes.
Her hair was just white and had a little bit of black streaks on the sides. And I said to Gia, I said, when are you gonna do that with your hair? And she said, never. And I'm like, your mom was so classy. Her mom had class. Not that
No,
Gia don't, but her mom's a lot to live up to in the class department. I'll tell you that.
yeah,
But anyway, Josh, you have yourself a wonderful day. Take care and keep acting.
yeah, thank you. You as well. Thanks for having
Absolutely. Yep. God bless you.
me. Okay, man. Bye.
All right.